Welcome to Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite movies. I'm James A. Denise, and today we're looking at It Chapter 2, released in 2019. It Chapter 2 was the sequel to 2017's wildly popular It Chapter 1, which I previously covered in a two-part kill. I also did a two-part kill count for the 1990 It miniseries, but It Chapter 2 will be covered in a single video. YouTube's algorithm changed. It's boring, don't worry about it. Chapter 2 sees the losers from the first film all grown up into a group of remarkably sexy adults. If you've read Stephen King's books or seen the ABC miniseries, you already know what to expect from the second half. 27 years after fighting Pennywise the evil dancing clown, the losers are summoned back to Derry, Maine to vanquish their old shape-shifting nemesis once and for all. A lot of the crew from the first movie returned for the sequel, and they all worked under the leadership of the siblings Muschietti. Andy Muschietti in the director's chair, and his sister Barbara Muschietti as producer. Andy and Barbara are both lifelong Stephen King fans, having read his books since they were the same age as the kids in Part 1. They're both lovely, passionate people who were happy to spend nearly 5 years of their lives making these two movies and telling this ambitious story. In Chapter 2 had a tough hill to climb from the start. Living up to the box office smashing first film was always going to be a difficult task, especially when the ensemble cast of kid actors was a big part of what made it so successful. In fact, one of the most common criticisms of the It miniseries was that the second adult-focused half wasn't as strong as the first. I guess John Ritter kissing clowns just couldn't match kids building trash dams or whatever. Would It Chapter 2 face the same kind of negative reaction? Maybe a little bit. It wasn't received as enthusiastically as the first, neither critically nor at the box office, but in my opinion, anyone calling this an awful movie is overstating the case. It's definitely not as strong as the first one for a number of reasons, including pacing, with the movie nearly 3 hours long, tone, with a few too many comedic beats at inappropriate moments, and scariness. I don't think it's nearly as scary as Chapter 1. But I'm willing to excuse a lot of that, since I was blown away by the movie's epic scale, how hilarious it was when the comedy landed, and most of all, the cast they got for the adult losers. They took a lot of care to find physically similar actors, a process that began on set during the first film and included input from the kid actors.
In the beginning, I was always Bill Hader. I was just like a super fan. But yeah, it's a very unconventional way of hiring someone. Saying 14-year-olds told me to hire you.
They were obviously very successful at this endeavor. James Ransone looks exactly like a grown-up version of Jack Dylan Grazer, a similarity that even Ransone's closest relatives noted right off the bat.
Even my brother, he saw this in the theater and he was like, that kid looks like PJ. He was weirded out by it.
But it's not just the physical similarities that make this cast impressive. It's also the raw acting talent on display. Everyone is phenomenal. And I'm gonna riot when Bill Hader's performance inevitably gets overlooked for an Oscar. It's the cast's heartfelt portrayals that give the film's heavy emotional beats such weight. I cried both times I saw this in theater, and I love it when a movie makes me cry, man. Couple of quick notes before we get started. First, I may mention some production info that probably would have been more appropriate in the kill count for the first movie, but back then, I didn't include as much behind-the-scenes info as I do now. And speaking of the It Chapter 1 kill count, I actually have some corrections to make regarding it, but I'll explain after we do the numbers for this movie, so stick around for those. All that being said, let's finally get into it. Chapter 2. The movie begins with young Beverly Marsh floating in a sewer. Damn it, Bev, I told you that deadlights are like the eclipse. You're not supposed to look directly at them. We kind of recap the ending of the first movie, and if you like recaps and flashbacks, well, you're in luck. This film's got a lot of them. It's one of the things that slows down the pace of it, but at least most of it is new footage filmed specifically for this movie. We're not watching the same exact stuff all over again. 27 years later, boyfriends Don and Adrian are enjoying a dairy carnival and all the fun prizes they can win there.
I've never been a fan of the beaver, but this
head. Unfortunately, a group of violent and hormonal homophobes see them and follow the couple to a bridge. Heads up, this is a very graphic and uncomfortable scene. So, don't watch if you don't want to. Because these bullies don't just beat these innocent dudes up, they fucking brutalize them, man. And it doesn't help that you've got that little shit laughing the whole time, too.
Look what you did to his fucking face.
The assailants dump Adrian's body into the river, then run off to get in line for the Tilt-A-Whirl. As Don makes his way down to save his boyfriend, Adrian starts swimming towards the only figure he can see nearby. What is that thing? Oh, just your average run-of-the-mill riverbank clown. Pennywise stares across the river at Don before he grows some fangs and chomps into Adrian's side. Would that be a plank thing? Don cries in horror as Tina starts singing about nuclear war or whatever, and Pennywise disappears. Our sleepy part-time narrator for the film is Mike Hamlin, who still lives in Derry and who is played by Isaiah Mustafa, who had his final audition for the role on his wedding day. Dude got the part and the wife in the same day. Way to go, man. When he's not too busy